Y'all ain't wake yet. Good morning.
Good morning.
How many are ready for the Small Business Expo? My name is David Sanders, and I serve here as the president here at Malcolm X College, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you to this esteemed establishment. We certainly are in the business of ensuring that everyone has the tools and the education, the credentials they need in order to be successful. And this event today that's coming from the city of Chicago, and we have the office of the mayor that's here. You're going to hear from him in just a moment, is just an example of the many things that are being done to help our people to rise to the next level. It's necessary that we get all of the resources, the supports, the help, anything that is out there that can get us across the finish line, that's going to help us to get to the level where we can hire other people to do the work for us. You can sit at home, get your Kool-Aid by the pool and do all the things. We ain't doing no drinking now. But get your Kool-Aid by the pool and do all the things that's necessary for you to thrive in this environment. How many came here to thrive? So that's what it's all about. Take advantage of this opportunity. It's tremendous, and certainly we are honored to have it here at this historic facility that's named after the iconic leader, Malcolm X. So with that, I want to introduce to you the commissioner who is going to be coming to you and giving some remarks. That's Ivan Kapafali, the acting commissioner. But I also want you to get ready for our mayor. He is doing everything he can to ensure the success of this city. And I want you to give him a rousing applause when he comes on this stage. Y'all gonna do that for me? Yes. Y'all gonna do that for me? Yes. That's what I want to happen. Because listen, when you excite yourself about your success, what you're doing is putting out there what's getting ready to happen. So I want everybody to put it out there what's getting ready to happen, because this is what's gonna happen when you get yourself ready for greatness. Ivan, come on out here.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me in the back? We're good? Yes. All right. So welcome. Hello, everyone. My name is Ivan Kapafali. I'm the acting commissioner for the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. And we are very humbled that you're spending your Saturday morning with us today, and you're making us part of your business journey. So we hope that you got a lot of good information today. There's a lot of that we're offering for you. Make sure that you go back to the exhibitor hallway. Better? All right. So at BACP, we are committed to creating a fair and vibrant marketplace for businesses, workers, and consumers in Chicago. BACP supports local businesses through education and access to resources to drive long-term growth in all 77 communities. This expo is meant to provide the resources that you need for your business journey, from idea, launch, to grow. Today, you can chat with a business consultant, you can talk to a financial institution about access to capital, you can meet with a chamber of commerce, and you can grow your business knowledge by attending one of our amazing workshops today. I also encourage you to take the Expo survey. Actually, on your agenda, there's a QR code. We need you to please, before the end of the day today, complete that survey. That's how we know how we're doing, so we can put events like this one for you in the years to come. So please give us good criticism, bad criticism, we'll take it all. 5 stars, half a star, it doesn't matter. We'll take it. The next generation of business leaders are in our communities. And early exposure to entrepreneurship can help youth learn about business opportunities. Therefore, today we're offering 2 youth-focused workshops to engage and inspire the young minds. We have a couple of youth-targeted organizations here to connect with the future young entrepreneurs. So that's great. It's a new addition to our expos. Before we continue, I want to give a big thank you to our sponsors, CIBC Bank USA, Western Union, and Wintrust Bank. Also, I want to thank our partners at the Chicago Treasurer's Office, City Colleges of Chicago, and it is because of their commitment that we can bring these events for you free of charge. Every person here can start and grow a successful business and creates wealth and jobs in Chicago. Mayor Brandon Johnson and his administration is committed to providing the business community with the resources and support it needs to innovate, create, and rebuild. Because of his vision, we are uplifting communities in our city in profound ways to create a better, stronger, and safer Chicago. So at this time, I would like to welcome my mayor, your mayor, our mayor, Mayor Brandon Johnson. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. How are you all feeling this morning? I can tell. Thank you to our acting commissioner, Capafali, for that introduction and his leadership and his time serving the city. And I'm grateful that all of you have not only taken the time to be with us this morning, but that your time and talent, that you're willing to expand it so that it can be of benefit to the people of Chicago. To see such an amazing turnout this morning at the Chicago Small Business Expo, it really just warms my heart. And this is truly a sign that Chicago's small business community is very much growing and it's thriving. I do want to acknowledge today's keynote speaker today, Mr. Barron Waller, franchise owner of Culver's, and he's also a fellow West Sider. What's up, West Side? And to our Deputy Mayor, Kenya Merritt, another West Sider of business and economic and neighborhood development. But he's going to tell his own story, and it's truly an inspiring story of becoming the largest, check this out, the largest African-American franchise owner of Culver's right here in the city of Chicago, you all. But again, I want to thank our acting commissioner, Capafali, for hosting this expo and supporting the incredible small business community. Small businesses are really the heart of what I call the soul of Chicago. Each and every day, you all as small business leaders, you play such an important role, and city government wants to see you succeed. I want you to succeed. Today's Expo is a celebration of all the ways that your businesses drive economic growth, the way you provide jobs, and the way you elevate our neighborhoods. And more importantly, this is your time to get connected to the resources, the networks, and the guidance for licensing, financing, and just business planning as a whole. I'm especially pleased to see that this year's Expo has, check this out, 2 youth-focused business workshops to engage and inspire our ambitious young people. Yeah, that's worth clapping for. I made a commitment to invest in our young people, and the young people that are here today, I applaud your innovation, your entrepreneur spirit, and thank you for taking time to invest in yourself. You know, and speaking of our young people, as a former public school teacher and as someone who sends my children to the Chicago public schools, someone who benefited from community colleges right here in Chicago, President David Sanders is a humble man, so he didn't brag about this. But we have a 48% increase of enrollment in our community colleges this year across the city, a 48% increase. And Malcolm X College is leading the way. But here's the part that's really exciting too for me. The #1 subgroup of people who are enrolling in our community colleges are young black men. The #1 subgroup. Because look, I said that I'm going to invest in young people. And I mean that with everything in my being. In order for us to build a better, stronger, safer Chicago, we have to create more opportunities for young people. And we did that this summer, you all. We hired almost 28,000 young people for summer jobs. And that's a 32% increase since I've been in office. And of the neighborhoods where young people were hired from, the top 10 neighborhoods, 6 on the south side, 4 on the west side. South side, we coming for you next year. But the most important thing though is they also get a chance to experience their purpose. These are not just young people who are working over the summer to just simply do a job. This is also about them investing in their future. And it's the entrepreneur spirit and the ownership that we are providing that is setting up the future leaders of Chicago. In closing, my administration and BACP are so grateful that you all are here today. I really am. And you strengthen our city. And that's why I was very proud to pass a $1.25 billion investment bond for economic development, neighborhood development, building 525 new small businesses or expanding small businesses over the next 5 years. Together, we can continue to make Chicago a better place for better opportunities for everyone to thrive. So I look forward to working with you all. Thank you for believing in the greatest freaking city in the world, the city of Chicago. God bless you. With that, I would turn it back over to our acting commissioner, BACP. Please give him another round of applause. Acting Commissioner Ivan Kapafali.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. So at this time, we're going to move to our keynote address. Today's keynote speaker truly embodies the entrepreneurial, it's one of those words, spirit. He's a Chicago native growing up in North Lawndale, then Chatham. His career path took a turn after walking into a Culver's restaurant. He opened his first Culver's in Bronzeville and now is proudly the largest African-American franchise owner of Culver's. With us today is Baron Waller. Mr. Waller? All right, let's give him a round of applause. Franchise owner of Culver's to share his unique business story and his path as a franchisee at this time. Welcome. I'm going to move. All right, this is my favorite part of the event. Can everybody hear me? Can everybody hear me? Now? Better? All right. You test yours?
Testing.
Okay.
It's working too.
All right. Well, thank you, Baron, for taking time to spend it with us this morning. Everybody here is very psyched to hear you. We did a practice run before we did this, and I found this man very, very interesting. His career path is great, and I'm very humble and proud that you're here with us today. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Before we talk business, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name's Baron Waller. I'm married. My wife, Janine, is sitting right up front here.
This is right here. You want to say hello?
I have 2 boys in college, and I'm a Chicagoan. Actually, not just a Chicagoan, I'm from the West Side Chicago. I was raised on Independence and Arlington. I spent several years at Independence and Arlington and went to school there, right there at Gregory School, right on Polk Street. So I am a West Sider. Later we moved to Madison and Kedzie, and I still went to Gregory. So every day, my brother and I would walk from Madison and Kedzie to Polk Street in Arlington. So every day we did that. And I think that prepared us for what was coming. Later, I actually got accepted at Lang Tech to Lang Tech, so I went to Lang Tech as well. And I think that was a great experience for me to get me to see outside of just what was on the West Side. Went to Lang Tech, and later we moved to the South Side. And I continued to go to Lang Tech. So that means every day I took 2 L's and a bus to Lang Tech. So we had to be there at the first L at 6 a.m. every day. When I graduated from Lang Tech, I was not sure what I was going to want to do. So I was hired by Crane Communications, Crane Chicago Business, as a file clerk. So yes, what I did every day was to take paper, put it in a file folder, and put it in the file. I did that every day. And even by doing that, Crane saw the possibilities for me and actually continued to promote me. They promoted me to accounts payable, to accounts receivable. Now, I can say accounts payable and accounts receivable now, but at the time, I didn't know what accounts payable or accounts receivable was. So, but I went ahead and took those jobs. Same thing there. They saw that I did a great job at being a file clerk and working in accounts payable and accounts receivable. Crane decided to move their accounting department from Chicago to Detroit. And they asked me, did I want to go? Now, I'm a 19, 20-year-old, never been on my own, and they asked me, did I want to move to Detroit? And I said, yes. So I moved to Detroit and got there on my own, and after being there, they brought their data processing department to Detroit. Now, it's called IT now, but at the time it was data processing. And they asked me, do I want to work in the data processing department? I said yes. So what I did, I began to take classes at the community college to understand what was data processing, what I had to do. What I ended up doing is getting an associate's degree in computer science.
That's amazing. Go ahead.
And with the computer science degree, I got promoted into programming. So I began to program. And I got the bug of continuing to going to school, and I ended up getting my undergraduate degree from Wayne State University there in Detroit. And continue to get more. I decided that IT was a great place, but not for me, so I ended up leaving there, and I went to the University of Michigan, and I got my MBA from the University of Michigan.
Outstanding. That's great. I think it's important for everybody to know that you're not just a business owner, you're a franchisee. You currently own 10 Culver's restaurants. Wow, right? That's great. I know business owners that struggle with managing just one, and you have 10. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. But so you currently own 10, a few in Chicago, the suburbs, and Florida.
Yes.
Okay. So this makes you the largest franchise, African-American franchisee in the nation?
Yes, in all the Culver system.
And we have him here on our stage. That's great. Appreciate that. Can you walk the audience through the process of becoming a franchisee?
Okay. After MBA, I actually went to work for IBM. I worked for IBM for 14 years. And one day while at IBM, I was invited to go see my brother out in the suburbs, and at the time I lived in the city. And I went out to the suburbs and I saw this place called Culver's. And I said, well, let me go eat in there. I walked in the door and I looked up at the menu board because I never knew anything about Culver's, and this person helped me so well. She helped me get everything, and at the time I had my little son in a car seat, and they came and they sat me down and they brought a chair over for him, and it was just such a great experience that I said to myself, maybe I should open one of these. And the next week I brought my wife, and then I brought my rest of my family there to come see this place. And at that time we said, this is what we should be doing. I always thought that I would want to own something, whether it be in manufacturing or something. I wanted to do that, but we said, this is what we think we want to do. So that week, I called up Culver's, and I said, Culver's, what does it take? And they told me, oh, okay, you need $500,000 to open one of these things. And I said, I did not have $500,000. So what we did, I talked to my wife. For the next 5 years, we saved everything.
That's exactly. So it did not come easy. It did not come easy.
Yep.
Did you have any other experience in the restaurant business? I know you worked at Crane's, IBM.
No.
As a kid, maybe, did you work at a fast food? We all worked at fast food. I mean,
Well,
I was Burger King. I don't know if
I worked
people
at
can relate
McDonald's.
to that. Okay, so
I worked at McDonald's, but I really didn't know what it really took. But we knew that it took that much money, and what we did, we saved for the next 5 years, and we thought we have enough. But let me tell you what I did during those 5 years is I wrote a business plan. I went networking. I mean, I talk a lot to, actually events like this. I talk to financial people. I talk to accountants. I talk to a lot of different people just to be prepared. So 5 years later, we had enough money. And I called up Culver's and I said, hey, Culver's, I'm ready. And they said, okay. And they picked a location for me. They gave me an option, a few locations. And one of the locations was out in New Lenox, Illinois, which is in the southern suburbs. And I opened my first one there. Was there for a couple years. And I said, well, I think it's time that we open another. Then I opened another one in Lockport, Illinois. And after 2 years after that, I said, I think it's time to open another. Then I opened a third one in Joliet, Illinois. So, we were running well there, and I said to myself, we got to go to the city. We have to go to the city. And I approached Culver's and I said, I want to build one in the city, and where I want to build it, I want it to be in Bronzeville. So
let me ask you something. I've always been curious because I know other fast food restaurants, they have their university, right? Does Culver have something similar to that? Did you have to go to become a franchisee? Do you have to go to their university, their version of
yes, I did.
Hamburger University, something like that?
Yes, I did.
And what did you learn there? What kind of training did they provide?
Well, first they required you to go up there and live in Wisconsin for 15 weeks. So you're there for 15 weeks, and they have you do everything. So I was cleaning bathrooms, I was making burgers, I was making custard. I did everything in the restaurant. And I thought it was a great training because when it was time for me, I was really prepared to do all those things. And what also prepared me is when I mentioned those networking things, I had an accountant, and I actually met bankers who helped me along the way. And here's the thing, you don't always have to look at the big banks. You can look at the small banks. They're very, very helpful. Now, in the beginning, I didn't know anything about an SBA loan. The small banks came to me and said, hey, you should get a SBA loan, 7A. I'm like, what is that? They helped me know what that was. And I started off getting a 7A loan. And then the second one, I used the SBA again. And so it's just important to make sure you don't have to start off big. You can start and work with those smaller banks because they want you to succeed as well.
That's great because access to capital is one of the big hurdles that somebody like you go through when they start their business journey. So when it comes to pick the locations, I know you spoke about how you started in Lockport or New Lenox, Joliet, so on and so forth. How do you pick those locations? Is there a market study? Is there a demographic study? And who does that, you or Culver's?
Initially, Culver's they do market studies for us, but we initially pick the location. For when I said I want to go into Bronzeville, I wanted to go into Bronzeville. But when they looked at their demographics information, they said you shouldn't go into Bronzeville. But I said, I lived here, so I know what to do. And they said yes. So we opened in Bronzeville, and that was the largest opening that Culver's has ever had. So. So that shows that even though they give you demographic information, they tell you what they think is best, but sometimes you know better. I mean, we know our community, right? Mm-hmm. And we know what our community can do, right? And that's how I felt about Bronzeville, that I knew that it was going to be successful there, and it was successful. And from that experience, I really began to focus on, let's work on building Culver's in our communities. So I built that in Bronzeville, and I said, well, I want to open another one. We end up opening another in Pullman. And we have that in Pullman. We opened another up in Ravenswood, and 2 years ago, we opened one on the west side. And finally, I had the opportunity to open one where nobody thought that I would be able to open. I opened one right across the street from Wrigley Field.
That's what's up. Very impressive. So when you opened your first Culver's, did BACP help you with the licensing process?
Yes.
Can we take a little credit?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. No, it was BACP was very, very helpful in every one of them. Opening the one in Bronzeville and even the ones in Ravenswood. They helped me throughout the process, getting my business license, getting permits. I have permits for signage. You have to have signage, right? And you have to work with the BACP on your signage. Same thing with benches and trash receptacles and all those things. You need help to do those things. And I work with the BACP on those type of things. But also, I mentioned to you about networking. I mean, there's a lot of neighborhood events that they put on. I was there. Those are the things that I used to help me along the way. Here's my business plan. Here's an accountant. Here's an attorney. Those are the type of things that I use, and the BACP helped me do that.
Thank you for that. I remember when we were rehearsing for this, we talked a little bit about, so those 5 years when you were waiting and saving, mm-hmm. you were building all these relationships and getting to know the financial system and everything. Personal credit, and your personal finances, when you go into a venture like this, how important that is for this process?
Very, very important. It's very important that you pay your bills on time. You keep your credit score up, because that's what they look for. Even the small banks, they want to know how reliable you are on paying your bills. And smaller banks will take a little bit more risk with you to make sure. But if you show them that you're willing to pay your bills on time, that you keep your credit score up, they will help you. And out there, I actually talked to a person from Summercore. Mm-hmm. I've worked with them as well, with Summercore too. So, even the city have lots and lots of opportunities or a lot of programs that will help you get your business off the ground.
Amazing. Mm-hmm. Another one of the functions that BACP does, besides licensing and enforcement, all of that is small business advocacy. Mm-hmm. So we work with chambers of commerce, and we work with neighborhood business development centers all throughout the city. Did you work with any of the chambers throughout your journey? That's
really very, very important, to really get to know the Chamber of Commerce in your area. I mean, I work with the Near South Chamber. I work with the Lakeview Chamber. I work with the AAABNA. I work with every chamber in the community, because for us, what's important is that you're in the community. You're working in the community. I felt that that's the most important thing. I want to have Culver's in the community so people don't have to go outside of their community, that they can stay in their community when they want good food and hospitality. You don't have to go out, you can stay in. And the group that really helped is the Chamber of Commerce and the city in itself.
Thank you. So as a franchise owner, how do you work your marketing strategy? Is that something that is handled by the corporate? Because I mean, you represent the corporation, but you're the owner. So do you market? Is your marketing strategy has to be approved by them? Is it run by them? Do they give you guidelines? How does it work?
Well, it's actually both. Actually, the big advertisements that you guys see on TV, you know, with Craig Culver's talking about the Butterburger, that's handled by them. But when you're in different communities and you see a billboard that says Culver's and it talks about this location, that's something that I do. I do billboards, we do radio commercials, we do local things like that. But, you know, we feel one of the biggest things that we do share nights. Share nights is when we work with non-for-profit organizations and churches and have them come into the restaurant and invite as many people as they can to come eat in the restaurant, and then we share with them the proceeds that we get that day. We may give them 10%, 15%, 20% of what we get in, because we feel that we want to be a part of the community, and that's a way of giving back to the community.
Thank you. How do you train your employees? We talked a little bit about that, and I want you to talk about it, how you are so involved with your employees that some of them have become part owners in your business. Can you talk a little bit about how you train them, how much value, because customer service can break or make customers, right? So you value that very much.
I agree.
Can you talk a little bit about how you train them to the point that they become owners or part owners? Go ahead.
I mean, hospitality, you guys know Culver's. We always talk about hospitality. You know, even the Culver's motto is we generally care that every guest who chooses Culver's leaves happy. And that's our objective. Our objective is to take care of you so much when you're there to make sure you come back. Now, in order to do that, you have to make sure that you have the team to help you do it. So, you know, we emphasize training. I got to tell you, one thing that we look for when someone comes to interview, first thing, did they smile? If they didn't smile, we didn't think that they are the right person for Culver's. You have to smile. And with that smile, it shows us that you're open to learning the things that we're asking you to do. We're asking you to take care of that person who walked in the door. We want you to treat them like, you know, they're your family. We want this place to be a place where people can come in and feel comfortable. And we want them to have, you know, a good time there. We want them to have fresh food. We want them to have a clean restaurant. And we want to make sure that they leave happy. So we train people to take care of the guests. Now, we have a lot of people who've been with us for many, many years. In fact, one person who started with me in New Lenox, he's now part owner. He started when he was in high school. He worked with us for 13 years, and he's part owner of our Ravenswood restaurant. I have others who, Ernesto, who worked for me for 10 years, but worked for Culver's for 18 years. He now runs my restaurant in Florida.
When you invest in your employees,
we
it pays
invest,
back, right?
We invest in our people. There's a process. You start as a crew member, you go as a team lead, you go as a shift leader, and then as a manager, then eventually you're a general manager. And as a general manager, we're looking at, do you understand the business? Are you running it? Are you running this restaurant the way that it's supposed to? And if you prove to us, you showed us that you can, you will eventually get a restaurant. Currently, I have 5 people who've worked with me. Now they own their own restaurants.
Insane. I want to go back to access to capital, because that's a big deal. What were some of the financial hurdles, the obstacles that you faced when you were going? I know you spoke a little bit about making the relationships and getting to know your banker and accountants and things like that, but can you talk about what obstacles did you face during those 5 years while you were saving and getting ready?
The biggest thing is, one, they don't know you, and they have to get to know you, right? That's one thing. And for the restaurant, even though I say I saved up $500,000, it took a whole lot more than that to open the restaurant. It took a whole lot more. And what the obstacle I had to really go over is to really convince them that I could do it. Now, I never ran a restaurant before. They want to know that they can rely on you. So first, paying your bills on time, having a great credit score is a great start. And then what I did is wrote a business plan. And the plan told them how I can get from here to there. And everywhere I went, I had my business plan. During those 5 years, everywhere I went, I had my business plan. I showed them my business plan. Now, there are many banks and many people that, we passed, we're not sure that you can do it. And as I mentioned before, I started with a small bank. That small bank showed, faith in me, and they gave me the opportunity. So really, it's making sure you're networking, make sure you have your business plan, and make sure you're selling yourself to do it. And that's how I initially got my first deal.
Make sure that you guys stop at the financial tables here. We have Wintrust, CIBC Bank, we have USA Bank.
I've worked with Wintrust.
Sommerco. Make sure that you do that before you go. Ask those difficult questions. We have them here for you. What advice do you have for anybody that's interested in becoming a franchisee?
Well, if you want to be a Culver's franchisee, hey, come talk to me.
There you go.
But to be a franchisee, I always say you need to prepare yourself first. Be ready, because you never know when it's going to happen. Now, as I said, when I went to Culver's, I didn't know I was looking for something. I didn't know that would be something that I would do. I was prepared to take advantage of the opportunity. And that's why it's important to network, get to know people, get to know the people that I talked about before, because you want to be able to call someone when you're ready.
We appreciate you sharing your business journey, and I am very impressed, and I think that the audience is too. With 10 locations, what do you do to relax? Do you have time off? The wife saying no?
No, we work a lot. So, I can be honest, we work a lot. We don't work 9 to 5, we work a lot. But, I opened those Culvers in Florida to now I can have a place to go and do some relaxation. So I was thinking ahead. So that's what we tend to do. We would go to Florida to relax there. But honestly, the business is always on my mind. So I'm always talking about it, always thinking about what the next steps are. So I do relax, but not a whole lot. So.
What are your favorite items in the menu? I'm going to Culver's after here, for sure. What are your favorite items?
Well, I actually like the traditional Butterburger. I like the Butterburger because I like how it's prepared. I like the fact that it's fresh. They don't make it till I order it.
Oh.
So I like the Butterburger and I like the custard. Now, I don't have custard all the time, but I know that it's really good because they make that day as well, and I know that it's going to be nice and creamery. So the Butterburger,
Well,
and custard, those are the best.
That's what we're having.
And I also got to tell you that right now, Culver's has, if you like cheese curds, they have the Curder Burger right now. And starting next week, they're going to have the hot and spicy cheese curds. Yeah. So.
All right. So I think our audience has some questions. Do you mind taking some questions from the audience?
No problem.
If you have any questions, Stella here from our amazing BACP staff is going to handle the microphone. Let me go ahead.
Thank you.
It's live.
We're going to start over here first.
Hello, and thank you so much. When you run a franchise, does the other franchisees help your business? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and honestly, no. They are competitors. They're frenemies, right? Frenemies, right? That you're friends because you're cordial with each other, right? But you're competing against each other. So we do work together on some things. Some things we don't because we're competing against each other. So we're frenemies. Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Amazing. So you said you were owner-operator for about 4 years? Or were you absentee?
I'm actually still owner-operators. I am still the owner-operator of 5 of the restaurants because that's the maximum number that one person can own. So the only way to continue to grow is that you have partners to continue to grow. And so that's why my other 5, I have partners to continue to grow.
Okay, what was that tipping point that decided you to grow beyond the 5 and, the 00?
What really is Chicago. I mean, I felt we had a couple in Chicago, and I really believe that we need to get more in Chicago. The tipping point really is I want to have a Culver's in every community so people don't have to go outside of their community. So what I look for is people who work with me and who live in a certain community. I have people who work with me who currently live in South Shore. So I'd say, well, let's open one in South Shore.
Is that in the works?
Well, that's what we're working on.
Okay. All right.
Actually, even in Little Village, we want to do that as well. So yes, it just got to a point where I felt that we want to make sure that we have Culver's in our communities, and we want to make sure that we continue to help our people who work with us actually continue to grow as well.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm also an engineer turned small business owner.
All right, all right.
I'm curious if you could share with us in what ways your technical background and your experience and your education has prepared you for business.
Well, honestly, it helped me a great deal. It helped me a great deal. When the restaurant business is one thing, to be able to run the restaurant is one thing. That's something that you can really learn. But there's a lot of other things that people don't think about that you have to do. And that's why, not all of our general managers eventually become owners because there's a lot more to think about. You have to understand accounting. You have to understand it because every day you have to look at what's your labor percentage, what was your inventory for the day, what do you have left over. You have to know how to measure that. You also have to know some engineering Actually, you have lots and lots of equipment within the restaurant. You have to know how to manage your equipment. So, you know, the educational background helped me with those extra things. And one big one is managing people. You have to know how to manage people. You know, I have 10 restaurants. I cannot be in 10 restaurants by myself. The only way that you can do it, you have to have effective people on your team who can help you manage. And that's an important part of growth, is being able to help people grow and then give them opportunity to show what they can do.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do
There's
one question
There's
per
one over
person.
here, on this side of the aisle.
Yeah, I'm working my way around.
Okay.
Hey, Mr. Waller, thank you for coming to speak today. Going back to your savings era and you saving towards that $500,000 goal to open up the franchise, would you say that's realistic in today's time? Because that was, you know, at an older time and the dollar was worth a little bit more, inflation was less. So what would you say to now? How would your game plan be for saving towards that $500,000 to open up the franchise?
Well, I can also say at the time I worked for IBM as well, so that actually made it a little different. But you know, but it still really doesn't change even things today. The point is, you have to sacrifice and plan. That's what's the most important thing. I could not go out and buy things when I really wanted to. Yeah. I had to make sure I kept the top thing the top thing. And for us, the top thing was saving. So that means I couldn't go get some new kicks. I couldn't do that. No new clothes. I couldn't do that. I mean, I drove my car for 13 years. And I didn't change that. I kept my 13-year-old car the whole time. Even when I even had a chance to get another one, I didn't. I kept that 13-year-old car. So when I talk about, you know, savings, it's also some sacrifice that have to go into it to make sure that you reach your goal.
Next question.
Very inspiring.
Thank you so much for bringing this nice presentation. The question I wanted to ask is, I've been looking at a couple franchises, and I'm kind of new to the franchise world, but a couple things that I saw that some of the stipulations, sometimes it asks for liquidity, investment, for example, like the $500,000 you were talking about, and then there's also like royalties. The question I have is, for Culver's, what is their particular stipulation? And then second of all, I know you said you had an MBA. Is it really worth getting an MBA?
Well, the first thing, royalties. Royalties are real, but here's what the royalties do. It gives you an established business. Now, when someone says Culver's, people know what Culver's is. That's what you're buying, right? But it does cost. I'll tell you what the fees are. Culver's wants 4% of whatever you bring in for just a service fee. Then they want another 2.5% for all your advertising. And then they want you to spend another 1% on your own advertising. So when you're looking at a franchise, you want to find out what those royalties go for. Now, for me, that 2.5% that Culver's requires for advertising, I think they do a fantastic job in the advertising because they get the message out, and that's what you want. You want to make sure they're using what you're giving for what they say they're doing it for.
What is their advertising? Delicious, right?
Welcome to Delicious.
Welcome to Delicious. Yeah.
That's right. And then his final part, the MBA. No, I don't necessarily believe that you need an MBA. I really don't. But for me, it was just a part of my own journey, you know, to get to where, you know, I got, because, you know, I did not go to school right away. I worked my way through, and I felt the next steps for me was the continuation through education. So not necessarily, I don't think you necessarily need an MBA, but for me, it helped me get to where I am.
Thank you.
Yes.
One more. Do we have time? Oh, there you go.
Okay. I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. I really appreciated that. I appreciate the story. I appreciate what you shared. But my question to you is, what was the hardest part about owning a franchise?
The hardest part, all right, we're very honest, the hardest part really is what I mentioned, people. It's people on both ends. You want to make sure that you have the right people working for you. And you have to have a process of looking at those people to make sure you get the right people. And I mentioned to you the one thing that I look for right in the beginning. Smile. And you have to come up for your business, what's important for you is, do they smile? And the other part of it, you have to also understand the people who come in for your service. And for us, we want to take care of our guests who walk in the door. But it's not always easy. It's not always easy. And that's why we had to have the first thing first. Make sure you get the people who are willing to do the work and that they can follow through on making sure they take care of the guests who come in the door to service them.
Back here in the back.
I'm gonna step over. Oh, sorry. Over. How you doing, Mr. Wallace? My name is Melissa. I'm smiling. That's first. Okay, so my question for you, so after 14 years, I really want to ask, how involved are you in the day-to-day tasks of the business? So can you tell me some of the responsibilities, some of the things that you tackle every single day, and how many hours are you invested in the business every week?
Okay. You ask my general managers, you ask my partners, they'll tell you that I'm involved in everything. That when we have a complaint, it comes to me. And I'll get on the phone and I'll say, what happened here? Did you take care of the guests? So I'm involved in everything. They call me, oh, the shake me seat's not working. What can we do? I'm involved in that. Now, how it get fixed, that's not what I do. They let me know and they take care of it. But those are my daily things that I do in every restaurant, in all 10 restaurants. I am personally involved in all 10 restaurants. Now, I'm not there providing the service, but I'm there managing the service. Making sure that my general managers are doing what they're supposed to be doing, making sure that my partners are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Now, how often, how long I work? As I mentioned, I work a lot of hours. That I'm working from the time I wake up in the morning to the time I go to sleep.
Do we have time for one more?
Good morning. So we're going to do a hard stop really quickly. We are starting our workshops right now at, it is 11:30. Now, please head out to the workshops. Wintrust